Josema is mutating again, putting on a ton of muscle without losing any definition. Sooner or later, he's gonna have to move to open. In today's video, I'm going to show you his current physique and his current training. I'm going to break him down, give you my opinion, and we're going to talk about a possible move from classic physique to open because I honestly think it's very likely. Josema is top 4 at the Mr. Olympia in classic physique, one of the best bodybuilders in the world, and today I think we can say he's the best in Spain. And doing this right after turning 24 is insane. He's a complete outlier. The last time he competed, and of course won, was at the Romania Pro 2025 on November 9th. A month and a half has gone by, and in a month and a half he's already at 113 kilos. With paper-thin skin, that classic old-school onion skin bodybuilding look, 10 kilos over his classic weight cap. If you remember when they measured it again at the Mr. Olympia, he got the nice surprise that he'd grown, like he was taller than the last time he measured. That increased his weight cap from 99.3 to 103, almost a 4 kilo margin since he measured at 1.81 meters, if I'm not mistaken. That puts him in the 1.80 to 1.83 height class, so his cap is 103, and right now he's 10 kilos above that. At that level of conditioning, with that insane definition, and don't think he's dieting hard or barely eating to compete. No, he even posted a video saying, if I ate like this I could compete tomorrow, and damn, it's true, I can't deny it. He's been posting his meals these past weeks, and don't think he's going off the rails or anything. He's eating well, he's just eating more calories and more food. Josema spent years eating very little, going from show to show, competing almost non-stop, and putting his body under constant strain. And even so, he's been improving crazy fast and in a super solid way the whole time, staying lean and in prep non-stop. Like, it's just wild to improve like that. But now that he's finally taking a real break and going into an off-season for a few months, and now that he's actually eating, his body responds extremely fast. He's turned into an absolute beast. In like a month and a half, that post-show rebound has been all muscle. Seriously, where has he even gained fat? I've been covering bodybuilding on the channel for 3 years now, but every time I see Josema, I'm shocked. His physique is something else. The extra food and the muscle gain are making his strength go up. He's moving more weight in training, but he also can't really train much more. Josema isn't a bodybuilder who does a ton of sets or pushes everything to failure, because he can't. If he adds just a couple more sets, he basically won't be able to compete in classic anymore. Damn, problems I wish I had. He trains a little extra and gets too jacked. What a tragedy. The problems some people have. Right now he's unbelievable. He's massive, just absolutely huge. Do you see this? And yeah, he poses like a classic guy and he's built for that division, but you can't tell me this doesn't look like an open physique with crazy aesthetics. That lateral delt, I swear I don't even know what I'm looking at, but it looks like it's about to burst out of his body. Don't come at me. Bro, did he inject oil, or is it that PMMA stuff everyone's on right now? And no, when he hits a pose you can see his shoulders are insanely striated, super dry, and his abs are pure muscle. In the abs too, he's added a lot of density, his chest and arms have filled out a ton as well, and he's got veins everywhere. Some of them Nick Walker style. He's a real freak. He's definitely getting bigger and growing a lot. If he keeps going like this, I think he could get to around 118, 120 with almost stage-ready conditioning. Not fully smooth or anything, and not that extreme condition he usually brings on stage, but still really lean, around 118 to 120. And fuller than ever, like he's about to burst. And if he actually wants to get softer and really bulk, Josema could hit 130, no doubt in my mind. And doesn't this ring a bell? Doesn't this feel familiar? Because I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Kalecinski. A classic guy who spent years pushing his body to the limit, placing really well at the Olympia, second, third places. And when he finished competing, at 1.83 or so, I think that's about Urs's height, similar to Josema. Every time the season ended, his body would just explode. He'd start gaining muscle, he'd start growing. Sometimes he even had to stop training for weeks and still keep dieting just so he wouldn't grow too much. Until the last year, Urs got up to around 125 kilos with really solid conditioning. He was about 20 kilos over his weight limit. And to compete again, he would have had to sacrifice all that muscle, like he'd been doing year after year, which caused huge physical and psychological suffering. Even health-wise, it was more damaging to show up lighter because of everything he had to cut. He decided to switch to open, and that ended up with him winning 3 competitions. And with just a few months in the open division, he managed to place top 13 at the Mr. Olympia, beating 7 open bodybuilders who've been doing this for years. What I mean is, Josema Beast looks like he's following in Kalecinski's footsteps. We've got a bodybuilder with a ton of muscle who's pretty much already getting the most out of his physique. He'll probably bring his best version at the Olympia 2026, and there won't be much room left to improve. We're talking about a bodybuilder who shows up in extreme condition and places really well, but he's limited by his structure and genetics. And I don't see him winning an Olympia in the future. A bodybuilder who has to pump the brakes because otherwise he just keeps growing and growing. And it gets out of hand, and he has to move to open, and I don't know how much longer he'll be able to keep this up. It's only been a month and a half, and he's already at 113 kilos, with skin that thin. Give him 3, 4, 5 months of off-season. Honestly, I think Josema Beast is doing things really well, getting good placings in Classic and competing, improving his physique and building it in a solid way. Step by step, no rush. He's getting known and he's doing great. But I think starting in 2026, maybe by 2027 at the latest, he's going to have to switch to open. I think he has way too much potential there and he wouldn't be limited. Not by the classic weight cap, he could weigh whatever he wanted, nor by his structure, which I think suits open way better. It'd be so much better if Josema could step on stage at 125, 130, or 135 kilos in a few years. Damn, I think he'd be unstoppable, and I don't think it would be that hard for him to get there. In a few years he could do it. His muscle density is on another level, those deep cuts, that hardness, that quality. If he could bring that to open, come in big and massive but with that old school paper thin definition, I think he could win an Olympia someday. I honestly see him winning in open before winning in classic. His back poses in open would be deadly. I mean, yeah, open bodybuilding is no joke. It's the least healthy for sure, but it's also the best paid. We're talking $700,000 at the Arnold Classic and $600,000 at the Olympia. Not to mention the fame, the glory you can get from winning an Olympia. Now we'll have to see what Josema prioritizes, what he wants long term, what his circle wants, and what his coach tells him. I don't think Josema would be one of those open guys who has to take a ton of stuff. I think even with a little, you know what I mean, he could go really far, and I think sooner or later it's going to happen, like with who used to put on a ton of weight after shows, up to around 125 kilos. With that paper-thin skin conditioning, to compete he'd have to sacrifice so much muscle that he'd end up looking flat, or it'd affect his health or his mental state somehow. And then he'd have to make the same decision made, move to open, and hey, there's something else he could do that I haven't mentioned. I almost forgot. Next season is 2026, and by the way, he's already qualified. He could do classic a couple of times or he could try open and see how it goes. Why not do an open pro show just to test it and see what happens? Unless a true top-tier Olympia athlete shows up, like Andrew Jack or Martin, I think from 10th place down, he could beat many very high-level open pros. I think he could place really well, maybe even win in open, and let's take it further. If he qualifies for open and qualifies for classic, then obviously he'd have to choose one category. Unless they change the rules. Because Sean Clarida, after qualifying in both open and 212, is causing a pretty big stir. And it looks like the organization might change the rules and allow competing in 2 divisions. This is just speculation, but damn, I'd love for him to make that move, at least try open in the 2026 season. I'm sure the judges have even told him, Josema, go to open. I'm sure of it. Anyway, in conclusion, he's an absolute beast. He's improved a ton, and he's going to keep growing. I think at the Olympia 2026, he could place 4th again, or even 3rd. But sooner or later, he won't have any choice but to settle for 3rd and 4th places for as long as he wants, or switch to open and fight for something bigger. Make history for Spain and for bodybuilding worldwide. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think about all of this? Drop it in the comments. That's it. Ari signing off. See you in the next video.